You're tuned in to Wrestling with Weight with your hosts, Sam Amato and Mike Body. Podcasting to help you win the biggest match of your life. It's you versus you. Tips, stories, and more from the world of health and professional wrestling. Ring the bell.
Yo, let me speak on this. Olare!
Arriba la raza!
Arriba la raza! What's happening? Welcome to the Wrestling with Weight podcast. This is episode 7. I'm Sammy Smiles alongside my partner, Mike the Body. Thanks for tuning in. How are you?
What's good, everybody? How's it going? Welcome to another episode. Sam, I heard it was your birthday, buddy.
Facts.
What did you do? What did you do for your birthday, man? How was it?
I was lucky enough to celebrate my birthday with my family. It was going up on a Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, that is. I had tacos, Terramana, tequila, because I'm a mock. Thanks, Rock, for some delicious tequila. I'll give you that one, Terramana. You can find it at your local liquor stores. Hashtag Terramana. Tell them Sammy Smiles and the Wrestling with Weight crew sent you.
Big shout out to you for your birthday. I'm glad you enjoyed it with family and friends. We got a big show lined up for you today.
We sure do.
On the show today, we're going to be talking about some protein, the benefits of protein.
We love you, protein.
What protein can do for you, how much we love protein.
So much.
And Sam, what's the protein segment called again?
I think we adoringly called it We Love Protein. I think
we
love
protein, and we're
going to love protein. We love you.
Things off with that today. And Sam, what else do we have on the card?
Bro, don't even play like you don't know. We had an awesome interview with alum from the WWE Tough Enough Season 5, and he was a finalist. Luke Robinson, who's also a well-known wellness coach up in the state of Maine, the beautiful state of Maine, the way life should be. Is that the tagline?
And I can tell you, I really enjoyed speaking
land?
with him.
Vacation
land? I'm not sure what Maine's tagline is.
No disrespect, Maine. We love you.
Sorry, Maine. Love you. Great place.
You ready to get started with the show?
Let's start this up today.
We'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Farrah the Exterminator here. I'm a local Boston-based pest control company. Female-owned and operated. We do it all. Commercial, residential. You got insects, you got rodents. Call us, 617-816-5004. We just don't kill people. Check us out at theexterminator.com. That's exterminator.com.
You're listening to Wrestling with Weight. Now back to your hosts, Sam Amato and Mike Body.
And you're listening to the Wrestling with Weight podcast. This is Sammy Smiles Amato, alongside Mike the Body. Ladies and gentlemen, this segment we would like to call We Love Protein. Hello, protein.
We do love the protein, and I love a nice high-protein grilled chicken, Sam. What do you feel about that on the grill?
I feel like that sounds lovely. I would like to put that grilled chicken between 2 whole wheat buns.
Okay.
With some lettuce, some cheese, and mustard, and call it a day.
And just eat it all up.
Yeah.
Man,
that sounds like a great lunch sandwich or something for me.
100%. But it's also something about the summertime where you start to grill again.
Summertime.
You start to grill again, and it makes that spark. It makes you happy. It makes you in a good mood.
Bro, I couldn't even wait. We had one nice day, and I was already out there, and I had the grill sparked up.
And what were you making that day?
I was making pork sausage. I was making some sort of wings or dumb.
Did you rub the sauce in those wings real good?
I rubbed it in, or I rubbed it out. But I burnt the shit out of my finger. Look how bad that is.
Yeah, it's still bubbled over there, buddy.
Bro. So we're trying to recover here.
And then the next day
it was lots of lube.
There you go. Oh, baby, man. This segment got really naughty.
Anyhow, we are going to talk a little bit more in depth about protein. Now, protein, as most of you know, is a macronutrient, which means it's a nutrient that we need lots of to sustain life, to build life, to maintain life. The 3 macros are carbs, fats, and proteins. Now, those are just big subcategories of food. Carbs, most of you sometimes think of carbs as a negative, but carbs are a positive, and there are negative aspects to carbs that most of you would probably think I'm insane for calling negative because they are things such as cupcakes.
But Sam, carb gives you energy.
Sweets, chocolate, sugar, and all sorts of bad stuff for you. The good carbs come from things like oatmeal. They come from sweet potato. They come from multi-grain. They come from whole grain. And so there's a lot of nutritional value. These nuts are considered fats.
Oh, no.
So fats are another category, which also there are good and bad fats, right? So we can talk about
and that's
fats.
part of the macronutrients?
That's right. So like a good fat, just giving you an example, comes from olive oil. Good fat comes from an avocado. Bad fats come from man-made oils that are used to manufacture sweets, that are used to make as like some sort of preservative. No, butter is like not actually all that bad. Sometimes butter is
margarine.
Salt. Exactly. Margarine is a mix. It's not real butter.
Right.
It's a spread, right? So those have trans fats in it, and that's a talk for another day.
That's why I used I can't believe it's not butter spray.
I can't believe it's not butter.
How are you?
Anyhow, This is not an episode of promoting brands.
No, it's not actually, but we do need some sponsors.
Funny. How are you? This episode was brought to you by insert your name here. All right, so
more
carbs.
proteins on. Okay, carbs.
Right?
Go back to
carbs. Good carbs, bad carbs. We'll go over that later.
Okay.
Good carb example, oatmeal. Good carb example, sweet potato. Bad carb example, Pop-Tarts. Bad carb example, cake. Bad carb example, ice cream.
Ooh, ice cream.
Bad carb example that nobody
I thought ice cream was
thinks
dairy.
of right away, soda.
I don't
High
drink
in
soda.
sugar.
That's
right?
one thing I do tend to stay away from is soda. I think it just makes you more thirsty.
Yeah.
And it's just nasty, dude. I don't know.
I hear you.
A nice
I
cold
do
Dr.
have
Pepper, though, on a hot day.
emotional attachment to Coca-Cola, though.
How many Coca-Colas do you drink a day? Are you drinking a lot of...
Zero.
Zero
I-
calorie?
I do like Coke Zero. I do. Again, we're just talking out loud here. Nobody's paying us for this.
Yeah.
But I have like a thing with Coca-Cola made in like Mexico. Where it's made with real sugar.
Oh, the glass bottle, the cane sugar.
Yeah.
The cane sugar,
Right?
bro.
It's a different Coke, and it's delicious, and it brings me back to Portugal. Anyways, bad carb. Coca-Cola is a bad
I want the
carb.
Coca-Cola with the real Coke in it. No, I don't.
Then we talked a little bit about fats. There's good fats, there's bad fats. Good fat being olive oil, coconut oil, fats from nuts, and then bad fats coming from fake fats and things of that nature. Now, protein. Protein is a muscle-building macronutrient.
Important.
Very important, because when we're training, if we're doing training the right way, we are breaking down muscle, right? So when we come to the gym, we're not really making muscle bigger, we're breaking it down. And in the recovery phase, when we go home, when we sleep...
That's when it pumps up a little bit more?
Right, so...
That protein's going to help heal it?
So think about, like, I want you to think about a cable fiber or a cable wire. It's a bunch of smaller wires wrapped up into a bigger wire, right? Our muscles are very much like that. They're fibers. And the more resistance and the more training you put on muscles, more of those fibers break. So you have to recruit other fibers. And at some point, you can't recruit any more fibers. You're either fatigued or you can't because the resistance is too great on the other side, right? So it's not allowing you to do a curl. It's not allowing you to do a press or a squat. We want to break down those fibers, but there's only so much nutrients and energy available in the muscle. So we need to rebuild, we need to recoup, and we do that through recovery and nutritional supplementing. Now, when I say nutritional supplementing, I don't mean you went to your local supplement store, A&C Everett.
Hey, shout out.
Shout out A&C Everett.
Cardillo
weight belts. But going back to for real, being serious, supplementation meaning you need to eat, right? We need to re-energize the body. We need to give the body the nutrients that it needs. So, protein is a muscle-building macronutrient. It's probably the better of the nutrients for you to overdo on. Not that you wanted to overdo on anything.
But it's going to help you build that muscle.
Yeah.
It's going to restore the muscle back and have it come back stronger and healthier.
Right. So, if you let's just talk about food for a second. This is a BMR is a basal metabolic rate. It's a rate at which your body sustains its weight. Meaning, there's an X amount of calories that you need to eat per day for you to maintain the weight that you have. Now, if you're not eating enough calories, you're in a calorie deficit. If you're not eating enough calories and you start working out, you're in a major calorie deficit or getting into a major calorie deficit. If you're looking to lose weight, that's what you want to be in, is a calorie deficit, right? But people overdo it all the time and want to cut their calories by like 1,000 a day and don't realize
Makes it tough.
That's not how it goes.
And you'll be
It doesn't
fatigued.
work. Oh my God, it's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
Have you tried any diets in the past?
Yeah. A lot.
What's the diet that you tried that was like just not for you?
All of them. Weight Watchers. I mean, no, Weight Watchers was actually pretty good. Weight Watchers is a good one.
Yep.
It's a good one. I've never done anything other than really fasting and Weight Watchers, to be honest.
Sure.
And I do like fasting.
But if you think about Weight Watchers, it's more of like habits. It's teachings, right? It's not a crash
You
diet.
can have that cheat meal if you stay within the points. It's
Right.
all about portion control.
Right.
Portion
Which
control.
Some people don't like.
Right. I mean,
people-
portion control is tough.
It takes a little bit of work.
It does.
But protein, going back, protein is a muscle builder, right? So give me, Michael, the body, some examples of your favorite proteins and how you like to prepare your favorite proteins.
Okay, I'll start that by eggs. Eggs is the best source of protein, right?
It's actually one of the cheapest forms of
Cost
protein.
efficiency?
Yeah.
Yeah. So boil some eggs up. You know, I'll just eat
You
those.
boiled eggs on a regular like that?
Oh, yeah. My wife complains the house stinks, but
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
I have one of those egg boilers here where you know, it's like...
Well, this
it's
whole
solely-
gym would be stinky.
It's not too bad.
No?
I do have one client that constantly comes in and says, "Did you boil some eggs today?" But she's really the only one. Shout out Al, Nurse Al.
So also what I like is some salmon, so some fish.
Delicious.
Okay.
Also a great source of fat.
Okay. And also my grains. I do like rice, and I do like my wheat, my oatmeal. Did we say oatmeal?
Great. So oatmeal is a great source of carbohydrates, but there are grains like quinoa and even rice have a certain level of protein.
What's better for you, white rice or brown rice? Or 'cause I know everyone likes the different kind of rice, Sam.
So
What we got here?
a white rice is stripped down, so it's been bleached. So a lot of the nutrients have already been taken out of it. But what it does make it is a more of a simple carb, you know, where it's more of a fast-acting carb is what I really should say, meaning that your body's going to digest it and you're going to start burning it almost right away, right? And which is not good because it makes you more hungry. You're hungry faster, right? So having a white rice is a good one for like a pre-workout, even a post-workout, really, for muscle for some recovery, some replenishing of nutrients. A whole grain rice or a brown rice hasn't been stripped, and sometimes it gives people some digestive issues, but it takes longer to digest. I think a brown rice or a whole grain rice is a better option. All right, so going back to protein, we're playing ping pong with this one.
Yeah.
Protein. Some more examples of what protein can be is grilled chicken. Yes, fried chicken is still protein, but it's now fried chicken. So the benefit to cost or loss ratio.
It was in that olive oil, you're saying? Oh,
no.
And the fryer-later.
Yeah, right.
The fryer-later.
Yeah, it didn't work. And you breaded it.
Right.
So it's not the same. Shout out to Cash. She's walking out the door right now. She just finished doing
After a
some
nice
carbs.
workout.
I said doing some carbs. I meant cardio. Have a good night. All right. So another great example would be canned tuna.
Yeah.
It's another cheap protein. A lot of times they recommend that you rinse your tuna because it might be a little high in salt, and it helps reduce some of the wastes that come with that tuna. Other examples, turkey burger,
Okay.
beef burger, bison burger, ostrich burger, steak, pork. Obviously, there's values and proteins that are going to be cleaner when you're eating chicken is one of the cleaner proteins if you're having like a chicken breast or a chicken tender. Now that you're starting to get into chicken thighs and chicken drumsticks, it's a little bit fattier, and people tend to keep the skin on it. So you're getting more calories per gram of protein or per ounce that is not like clean. Egg whites is another clean protein. Really like low fat ground beef, like 98% or 97%. That's a really good source of protein. Obviously,
And your whey protein shakes can help substitute.
yeah, whey's a good, but whey supplements are a supplement, right? So that's for
Right.
like we were talking earlier. You were saying you're having a hard time getting enough calories in throughout the day, and by the time you get home, you feel ravenous.
Yes.
Now, we were talking about supplementing with what? Protein shakes, right? So a protein shake you can have in powder form with water on you, and it requires no refrigeration.
I enjoy mine with a little banana, though. Maybe
Frozen?
a scoop of peanut butter,
Delicious.
ice cubes.
Yep.
Water, obviously,
Okay.
and blend it up.
Boom. There's your Mike the Body peanut butter banana recipe for
Fucking
protein
delicious.
shakes.
I can substitute 2 meals a day easy off that.
Right. So we were talking about using that as like a snack, right? And nutritionists will always tell you that if you can go with whole foods first, then you should go with whole foods first. But if you need to, whey protein is okay. Just make sure you keep up your water and make sure that you're getting a good quality whey protein. You want to basically look at the label. You want to make sure it's not really high in sugar so it tastes good. It's not really high in carbs because then it doesn't really become a real whey protein or casein protein.
So we so far
Or even
discovered
a plant-based protein.
plant-based proteins also, but protein in general, it's going to restore your muscles.
Yes.
What else is it going to do for you? It's going to fill you up.
Yes, I was going to say it sustains you a little longer. It's also one that is going to just help you just throughout your day, right? So if you eat just carbs, a lot of times you have this little yo-yo. You're not getting all the nutritional value that you should from food because not one food has all the nutrition that we need. That's why we eat a little bit of everything. And depending on where you come from in the world, your diet's going to look a little bit different. Another great clean protein is like a whitefish, like a tilapia or a haddock.
Yummy.
They're really low in fat, and you can grill them and bake them, and they taste delicious.
That's what I'm looking forward to, man, is just throwing some fish or some
Yeah.
steak or something on the grill.
Right, steak is another protein.
Oh.
And we were just touching a little bit on proteins that come from plants as well. There's plant-based proteins. Plants or even legumes, like a peanut, have a higher level of protein in them. And so scientists and nutritionists around the world have, the most recent years, been able to come up with some really good flavors, really good tasting plant-based proteins, and they're another way that you can get your proteins in. And depending on who you talk to and what you're looking for within your performance and within your diet and what your goals are, you're going to have different ratios of each macronutrient. So someone might want to have a high-protein diet because it's going to be helpful in losing weight and sustaining energy while you're training. So you might have something in the high-protein range of calories, meaning like if you broke up your food pie into 3 big portions, one being carbs, one being fats. Sorry, let me pick my mic up. One being carbs, one being fats, the other one being proteins. You're going to split that pie up a little bit differently, right? So if you're a runner and you need lots of energy, maybe your diet's going to be higher in carbs, right?
Yeah.
And you see even marathons,
Yeah.
they carb them up.
Carb them up the night before.
Right.
They gather all the energy.
And if you think about a diet like keto basically cuts everything out and has you on very slim amounts of carbs and proteins, and the rest of it is coming from fats, and it's supposed to be natural fats. But that's a fad diet, or to some it's not, but we know that it's not an easy diet to follow.
Very
How's
tough.
that?
Very tough. A lot of
It's not
people
an
don't
easy
last
diet
on
for
it.
Sure. So that was our love for protein. I'm married to a Brazilian woman. I just want to drop this.
On the food you were going to about to say, not your
Yes.
wife.
No.
I was like,
No. Oh, okay. I get
you
you.
say?
Hey, watch yourself. Bro.
All right, go
You're
ahead.
lucky this box is separating us right now. But Brazilians love protein, and they love to barbecue. The one thing that they do that is not good for us, but makes the meat that much more delicious, is they use a ton of sea salt, right? And the sea salt's only being dropped on it.
Like on the Wendy's fries.
Chill, bro. Chill. But protein is a necessity for life, necessity for strength. And it doesn't have to come from an animal. And I totally get your opinion on animal abuse, animal cruelty, and I respect your opinion. So if you're not into that type of protein, plant-based proteins are great. And I'm with it. Go for it. I appreciate that.
Get some yogurt.
You know, you can do that too.
There's plenty of ways out there, plenty of options. Go grab some protein. It's the best way to feel full, best way to recharge your muscles.
And build those 24-inch pythons, brother.
Yeah.
Watch the flying elbow coming off the top rope. Thanks for listening to this segment on protein, which we had playfully named Protein That We Love. We'll be right back. All right, guys, before we head into the main event, or the main portion of the show where we interview WWE Tough Enough finalist Luke Robinson, there's some housework, some house cleaning, some things we need to discuss super quickly that didn't fit into a regular segment.
That's right.
So first and foremost, we want to congratulate our friend and owner of UFO Wrestling, Pat Dillon, for winning the Mayor of Southie.
Yeah, we also had Pat on this episode of Wrestling with Weight, episode 3. You can go back and take a listen. Pat, congratulations on winning the Mayor of South Boston. How incredible is that, Sam?
The Mayor of Southie was not just a title. Pat had to put in some legwork. He had to do some fundraising. And for every dollar that he collected, it counted as a vote towards him. So they were doing it for a worthy cause, and I'm super happy for him. We're super proud of you. Thanks, Pat. And we'll be seeing Pat soon, because Pat's going to be running a show in Malden.
In April.
That's right, for April vacation. So you want to follow UFO Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram for more information. We're going to be there. We'll have a booth. We'll probably be
hanging out.
Yeah, we'll have
watching
some
some wrestling.
And we want to meet you guys.
Maybe have a giveaway.
Let people know about the show.
Speaking of giveaways. Speaking of giveaways.
That's right, Michael. There is a giveaway that we're doing right now. If you don't already have a copy, or if you feel like you need a second copy of WWE's latest game, WWE 22, the Wrestling with Weight podcast is giving one away to one lucky winner.
All you have to do is go to our Instagram page, find the post,
and follow the directions.
Pretty simple.
That's it.
And win a copy of a game for your console.
If you already have one, try to win one for your homie. That's it.
That's it.
Be kind. You ready for the main event?
I'm ready, man. Let's do this.
Let's go.
Let's go.
You're listening to Wrestling with Weight. Now back to your hosts, Sam Amato and Mike Body.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for our main event of the episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. We have a very special guest we're super excited to have on the show with us. Not only is he a talented performer in the ring, but he's also a good human being. I love him. I can call him my brother. I've known him for a super long time. Tough Enough Season 5 finalist and health and wellness coach, Luke Robinson. Luke, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thanks for doing it. My pleasure, guys.
So, Luke, if we've never met you before, or if we're meeting for the first time, how would you sum up who you are and what your life philosophy is?
Obsessively grateful, and that would cover both questions, who I am and my life philosophy. Obsessively grateful.
That was super short and unexpected. I was expecting more long-winded, but thank you. I appreciate that.
If you want to know about my job, go ahead. Sorry.
A little bit about where you're from. Basically your upbringing and how it got you to where you are today as your profession is pertained.
Yeah, so I'll still try to be concise, but I grew up in Auburn, Maine. It's south central Maine, and I grew up on a river on a farmhouse. And growing up, for whatever reason, I just was always fascinated with professional athletes. even I remember like being young and loving like Batman's suit. Like I thought like the abs were actually his abs, you know? So through wrestling, through professional athletes and sports, I really got into health and fitness. And around 15 years old, I was one of the kids originally who made fun of my friends who liked professional wrestling. You know, all the classic stuff. You know, it's fake, right?
Right.
And then I walked by my brother's room one day. He was watching Monday Night Raw, and it was in the midst of the Rock Mankind storyline. And I sat down and watched, and suddenly everything clicked for me. And that storyline was just so simple in terms of you have, you know, the Hollywood bully and the lovable loser, and you're rooting for the underdog. And I understood that professional wrestling, like country music, is just really good storytelling. And so there's a lot of things in my life, from country music, fantasy novels like Lord of the Rings, and professional wrestling, that I used to thought that I hated, and I just never gave them a chance, and I was prejudiced against them. Literally, I was prejudging them without ever having watched, and it turns out those are like all my favorite things now. So anyway, that led to, you know, basement, backyard wrestling with my buddies, and unlike my buddies, I was like, I really want to do this. And my mom and dad just said, yep, go to college first and you can do whatever you want. But they were supportive of it instead of making fun of it, which I thought was awesome. And anyway, we'll kind of 1, 2, skip a few, or yada, 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 past Tough Enough. But after Tough Enough, I realized how much I like was beating on my body to stay in shape. And I was like, there's got to be a little more of an efficient way to do this. So that led me to what I currently do now, which is I run an outdoor gym in Auburn, Maine, and I try to make fitness feel more like playing outside with your friends. And my favorite thing in the world is just, I've had such a blessed life, so I love seeing other people as happy as I've had the opportunity to be. And so the way that we make fitness feel more like playing outside with your friends is, I always say, I know the term boot camp is like sizzly, but I say, like, we are not a boot camp. In other words, I'm not trying to kick your ass. I'm not trying to beat you up. I'm trying to actually make you look forward to your workouts instead of viewing it as a necessary evil. And the way that we do that here is, number one, everything's custom. I specialize in group fitness because my personality, I just love the group energy. And I think that comes from the pro wrestling background. But anyway, within the group, everybody gets exactly what they need. So they get a customized station with all the benefits of the group fitness, which is the friendship, the camaraderie, the accountability. And honestly, like, again, the pro wrestling background is like such a huge part of what I do with fitness. I always try to have fun music. I always try to have silly jokes ready to go. And so in that sense, each workout, I know this sounds cheesy, but it's not just a workout. I try to make each workout feel like an experience for my clients. And even the word clients, I hate that, because like my clients end up feeling so much more like my friends and family. So anyway, in a sentence about what I do, though, to just the bottom line, that no pun intended,
yeah, it's great. Excellent.
is I run an outdoor gym that specializes in group fitness that tries to make working out feel more like getting off the bus and going to play with your friends than a workout.
Awesome. Right into the outdoor fitness. You don't use regular dumbbells or squat racks. You don't use treadmills. You're using what you find on your land. Is that not right? I've seen people using I've seen the tires. I've seen you lifting and doing fireman's carry with like logs. Why?
So I love even the title of the podcast, Wrestling with Weight, because there's a little expression we have, you know, you don't need to lift weights, you need to lift weight, right? Your body doesn't know if it's a dumbbell or a barbell. And ironically, there's this perception in our modern world that my gym is a quote-unquote alternative gym because we don't use exclusively. I do have dumbbells, I do have barbells that were donated, but that was like stuff that was donated. It was up to me. Yeah, we'd just be using logs, cinder blocks, whatever we have. And there's a couple reasons. Number one, it's cheaper. And so I'm a believer that it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you save. And I can pass that savings on to my clients, first of all. Number two, I think, remember how I said I want to make it feel like playing outside with your friends? Well, when you're a little kid and you're playing with your brother or your friends and you're playing like cowboys and Indians. Like, a stick is your bow and arrow, and a little small stick is the pistol if you're the cowboy, right? So I think that's a cool notion where using whatever you have it's that creativity that makes it feel more playful, and then it makes it feel, think of the concept of magic in literature and movies. What's magic? It's the ability to create something where others see nothing, right?
Right.
So I love that when it comes to fitness, because it feels like you have a magic power to be like, yep, there's a cinder block, but that's the same thing as your $100 dumbbell or $100 barbell, whatever it is, right? So I think there's a certain magic to using whatever you have in front of you and being able to get the same results as someone who's, spending hand and fist for fabricated equipment. And I think that's the hilarious part, where we say it's an alternative to use nature, where it's considered normal to drive somewhere, go back inside, walk on a machine in place. Yeah, and that's what's considered normal.
Yeah. Now, when he's saying outdoors, he means it. Woods. The house in the land is like in the perfect spot. He's got the lake right nearby. He's got some hills that he's doing. There's a road out front. I think your setting is epic in itself, which it makes it more magical. And it's not just during the warm days. I've seen video girls out there in the snow. I've seen them out there, darkness,
all weather,
and nobody seems to be complaining about any of this. Everybody's they're loving it. It's that life, and they definitely look like the team watching those videos.
And you nailed it, dude. So I have a lot of people who start with me, go like in the summer, let's say, and they go, "Oh my God, I can't imagine doing this in the winter." And one of my favorite compliments, and we always think of results of a workout as just being about like how much weight you lifted or how much weight you lost, which are great things, don't get me wrong. But my favorite things to hear from my clients is, I was never a winter person. And they go, because I never did anything outside. I never had people to do it outside with. Okay. And so it is a huge tenet of Wolfpack, and where we try to go no weather talk in terms of viewing the weather with morality terms. So think of morality terms are like good or bad. Right. And right from the time we're little, the Weather Channel is already doing that for us. They go, oh, we got to stretch a good weather. We got to stretch a bad weather. And all they mean is it's going to be warmer or colder. And I'm like, that's not good or bad. That's just warmer or colder.
How much does your diet, how much does the workout change from the summertime, say, into the winter? Do you have a completely different routine?
No, you got a good point. We do try to keep the pace up a lot faster in the winter just to keep people warm. But that's one of the amazing parts, is that once people get moving, cold is a relative term. It's relative to your preparation, what you're wearing, your movement, how much you're used to it. So again, my favorite part is people going like, they'll go, I used to think I hate the cold. And I'm like, well, no one likes being cold. By nature of being cold, it's a state of discomfort. But once they realize that if they learn to prepare right and move right, they're not cold. That's the amazing thing. And I think it's such a good metaphor for life, where it's like, context is king. As Eric Bischoff says, context is king. So just because it's cold outside doesn't mean you physically have to be cold. And seeing that shift in my clients, and again, like you said, Sam, these are just like, the 90% of my clients are regular moms and dads, like housewives, and they're outside in 5 degree, 0, -5 all winter long and kicking ass. And I think that's like so special, because they're not hardcore thrill seekers. They're, in my eyes, regaining what it means to be human.
Love it. We're going to switch gears, but stay relative to the conversation here.
Sure.
When I met you, you were just getting started training with Tony Atlas, and we were doing TV tapings in an empty hotel function hall. And the matches felt very weird because there's no crowd reaction, and so you can't rely on that to feed off of that. So you kind of are building a story, and then they're going to watch it later, just like a regular movie. But just thinking about when I first met you, you're always a super nice dude and very humble and just very likable, but you weren't the same guy that you are today. Obviously, I feel like your attitude is always going to be the same. You weren't like coming out of your shell. You were already Luke, but you were respectful. You were like learning the business, and you were kind of a little bit more quiet than what you are now. but more importantly, your physique is different. You're always, excuse me, I just bit myself. You were always fit, but you weren't thick. You've gained a lot of weight, healthy weight. What did you do? How did you prepare for that? And why is it just a natural, you were getting bigger because you were growing into your body, or was it something purposeful in your diet?
Yeah, so nutrition is here's what I would say. Working out is not a hobby of mine. Nutrition is a hobby of mine. Here's how I define that. When I'm not working out, I'm not thinking of more ways to work out. I'm not like obsessed with how can I get more exercise in. Nutrition is definitely a hobby of mine and a fascination of mine, meaning in my free time, I'm researching articles, thinking about how nutrition affects mood and hormones and our energy. So I wanted my own questions answered. So it was when you had met me, like you said, I was 19, 20, 21.
Right.
And I ended up getting a few high-level nutrition certifications through a company called Precision Nutrition. And they have what's called their Level 2 Master Certification. And it's a $2,000 course. And I think that's to like almost weed out the people who aren't serious about it. And I did that, I believe, 6 years ago, maybe. I was in my early 30s, and it was life-changing for me. So anyway, to answer your question more specifically, I definitely got more focused on the nutrition and lifestyle aspect. One of the things I never, ever took seriously until I turned 30, I specifically remember there was a kid in college. He was built like John Cena, okay? And it's how basically he looks then how I look now, how I always wanted to look. And I go, "What's your secret, dude?" In class one day, he goes, "When do you go to bed?" I'm like, we're in college, 1, 2 in the morning. And he goes, "I go to bed on time." And it wasn't until 10 years later. So I was like 20 when I asked him that. I was 30 years old before I really understood the value of sleep in terms of how it affects your hormones, your metabolism, your energy, your mood, your mindset. So again, to get more specific, one of my favorite techniques, one, I get to bed on time, so I took that to heart. And two, when it comes to nutrition specifics, I'm huge on protein and veggies first when I build my meals.
Protein segment.
Yep. And then the other thing that I really love is I like cycling within the week. So we always think about, this like holy grail question, can you build muscle and lose fat at the same time? And the reason people have a hard time thinking about that question, they're thinking too micro. They're thinking about like within a day. So I like to think at the very smallest within a week. So one of my favorite strategies is this. I cycle, instead of thinking like carb cycling really is just a form of cycling calories. So my favorite strategy for getting lean while getting stronger, or vice versa, is I pick 3 days to do whatever my goal is. If I want to lose fat, I try to eat a little bit less on those 3 days. And then on the 4 days, I eat a little bit less on the 4 days and a little bit more on the 3 days. So therefore, I have 4 days that I'm in a deficit and 3 days that I'm in a little bit of a surplus, or at least
yo-yoing a little bit. You've got a little undulation.
Yeah, correct. And the way I was taught, it's called the Zigzag Method, because if you graft it within the week, personally, my strategy, I work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I eat a little bit more. On those other 4 days, I eat a little bit less. So then within the week, I'm able to think about it like I'm gaining muscle, eating more on my workout days and eating less on my off days. And therefore, within the week, I'm in a little bit of a deficit because I have 3 higher calorie days, but 4 lower calorie days. But again, the emphasis is always on protein and veggies, the things that will make me feel most full and satisfied, because that's really the key when it comes to nutrition. Nobody likes to feel hungry. Just like I say, nobody likes to feel cold. So if you eat protein and veggies, those do the best job of making you feel full and satisfied.
So when you were younger, when you were working out, you said that your brother was watching wrestling and you walked by and you went to the storyline. When did you decide you wanted to go into the nutrition and the bodybuilding? Like growing up, were you overweight? Were you always outdoors playing and lean?
I was always like, at my like quote unquote worst growing up, I was just skinny fat because I didn't understand, again, that sleep and nutrition part. So after I saw that Rock Mankind storyline, and I knew I wanted to get into wrestling, I knew how important physique was, especially if you're not 7 feet tall, right? You either need to be like 7 feet tall, 400 or 500 pounds, or have something defining about you. Otherwise, you need to be like really ripped and really athletic. So when I was in middle school and high school, I was just doing crunches and push-ups while I was waiting. This is hilarious, actually. I did crunches and push-ups while I was waiting for AOL, my dial-up modem to sign into AOL, you know. And sometimes at like 6 o'clock, when all the West Coast kids are getting out of school, that's why AOL would take like forever to dial in at 6 o'clock Eastern time, because it's 3 o'clock Western. So anyway, I would do crunches and push-ups while I was waiting for the and sometimes, you know, it gets all the way to ready to sign in, and then it kicks you back off. Yeah. So it was just crunches and push-ups back then, and that's, again, it was purely like my foray into fitness and nutrition was purely because I knew that I wanted to be a professional wrestler. That was like really the catalyst for everything.
So let's talk about when you started really focusing on nutrition and you started training, other than doing your push-ups. Were you going to a regular gym? Have you been a person that likes to squat and bench? Do you think those are important to keep in your routine in order for you to have the muscle gains that people are looking for?
So my aunt's cousin, follow that, owned a gym, and I just went with some guys from the hockey team that I was playing for in high school, and I didn't really have much direction. So again, that's why I wanted to get my certifications in nutrition and fitness, because I wanted to be able to answer all the questions I had. And honestly, some of the certifications you get, like, you know, anybody can pass a certification, but then I started to be able to figure out the people in the business who had, you know, when Facebook was first starting, Instagram, they're not always the flashiest people. And that's kind of the thing that's tough for the average person to filter out and vet. You know, who do I trust? So as I got older and more experienced, I got much better at understanding who to trust. And the older I get, the more I focus on basically 4 main movement patterns: the ability to push something away from you, which could be I haven't benched in 6 years since I turned 30. I only do push-up variations now. The ability to push something away from you, the ability to pull something towards you like a row, the ability to squat, which is a little bit more flexion at the knees, and the ability to hinge at the hips, which is all your deadlift variations. So since I turned 30, I'm 37 now, so it's been 7 years. I pretty much just focus on those 4 main movements. So I do full body workouts personally, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, take a day off in between. On those days off, I take walks. I don't try to do anything too crazy extra. But all my workouts are built around doing a deadlift variation, a squat variation. I don't squat on my back. I haven't squatted on my back for, again, 7 years. I do all goblet squat variations where I'm holding the weight in front of me, just because it's easier for me to set up.
Okay. Being concerned about the spine. It's more about...
Correct. I am also definitely, again, since I turned 30, everything shifted towards how can I stay as healthy and active as possible for the rest of my life. So it definitely is part about injury prevention, why it's just, to me, it's not worth it. But the other huge part is I don't have a squat rack. Right. So at the very most, I love Zercher squats, where you're holding a bar at your elbow joints, just holding it in front of you, because it also really works your core. You don't need as much weight. So anyway, the ability to push away from you, pull something towards you, squat, and then hinge at the hips, which is more glute dominant. I do throw in some direct arm work. And at the end, I love tire drag. So I have a barn where I throw some weight in like little tractor tires. I just throw a sledgehammer in to like hook into the tire, and I just do backwards drags. I have some truck chains, so I'll do battle ropes, but with chains, and I have a tire and a sledgehammer. So my cardio is, the average person, they think cardio has to be running. I'm trying to save my joints. So running, to me, I usually end up with knee pain, hip pain. I love backwards tire dragging, tire smashing, chains as my cardio. So like I said, everything is all about how long can I stay feeling like I'm 15, 20 years old, and I feel better than ever right now.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Farrah the Exterminator here. I'm a local Boston-based pest control company, female-owned and operated. We do it all, commercial, residential. You got insects, you got rodents. Call us, 617-816-5004. We just don't kill people. Check us out at theexterminator.com. That's exterminator.com.
Hey guys, this is Sam from the Wrestling with Weight podcast, here to let you know that we offer CPR training classes at the Way Better You personal training and group fitness studio in Everett. For more information on classes and certifications, visit SaveLifeBoston.com.
Awesome. We should talk a little bit about wrestling now.
Sure.
So tell us, how old were you when you got started? Tell us a little bit about your backyard days, how you ended up having your first trainer. And I think his first trainer is nobody to sneeze at, somebody legendary, which is an amazing start. And then you worked your way up to the point where you had WWE's attention and you were a finalist in one of their competitions.
Yes. So I'll try to take you to that story through that story as quick as I can without sacrificing too much quality. So 15 years old, I believe, is the day I walked by my brother's room. So actually, it might have been a little earlier because I was in middle school. So my middle school buddies, we did basement wrestling only because we really liked being able to control the lights. It was very much about the show. We got strobe lights from Spencer's Gifts. Each one of us would play a WWF character. So I was at the time I was taller than everybody. So I was the Undertaker, just black sweatpants and a black wife beater. And we'd record everything. We made our own belts out of like one of our dad's work belts and our WWF figurine little doll stands, like the little WWF stands for the action figures. And so again, we were very much into just as much of the story and the theatrics as we were the wrestling. And again, for them, it was just like a silly little, we all played sports. So it was basically our version of drama class, because the only reason we couldn't do drama is we all played 2 or 3 sports. So when I was 18, that gym that I told you my aunt's cousin owned, Tony Atlas was a trainer at that gym, WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas. And on a couple of my summers back from college, I approached him, and again, like there is bliss in ignorance. So because I didn't know anything about like the etiquette within the business, all right, let me put it this way. Imagine if someone who had no interest in professional football saw Tom Brady, and I saw him and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so nervous to go up to him and talk to him. And they're like, who's that guy? I'll go talk to him. So the irony is the less you care about something, the more you're willing to take chances. So because I had no knowledge of like the business etiquette, I went up to Tony with like a tape of our basement wrestling. And I'm like, hey, I'd really like you to watch this. I want to be a pro wrestler. Yeah. But like wrestling on mattresses in the basement, right? Yeah. And like if
one of the first tag team champions in wrestling history.
Oh man.
Right. Significant player in the game.
And if I had known what I like know now, I would have been too scared. I would have been like trying to be too respectful. Absolutely. And it's kind of like what they say about Vince McMahon, where he likes the people who challenge him, who don't feel like they're stepping on eggshells. He likes that kind of courage, just be like, this is who I am, take it or leave it. So anyway, he watches it and he goes, you know the moves, boy. I want to see some psychology. So me and my buddy go back to the basement and we do a 15-minute match where we work a leg and it plays into the finish. We had watched
What's that? He went and watched you do this, or you taped this and turned it in?
Taped this again, brought it back to me. So I know. So we watched, of course, like the Ric Flair Steamboat matches where, the finish is working the leg, going for the scoop slam, leg gives out, schoolboy, right? Or small package, that is. So anyway, he had a wrestling school. So that was my in to start the wrestling, to go to the wrestling school. So we of course had to do like the setting up the ring, all that. And I remember the first bump I took, just like, yep, you set up the ring, now you can take a bump. I'm like, oh, is this really what I want to do? And you never forget that first bump to me. And so the wrestling school was it's what they call like a boxing training ring. It's on the ground. There's no give to it. Dude, it's stiff. You feel everything. So you really have to
every time you take that bump.
You have to learn really how to do everything right. So anyway, I'd go back and train there during summer break from college, and Tony started getting me gigs, and one of the gigs we got was a 2-hour drive in central northern Maine, in Bangor, Maine, and which was an old... What's that?
What was your homie's name that started with you?
Casey.
How's he doing?
He's doing great. He's getting married this October, and I'm going down to visit. He's getting married in Pennsylvania, so I'm in the wedding. I'm going to visit him in October.
I remember him clear as day too. That's so wild.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
We would get these gigs around, and that was a weekly wrestling show at a VFW hall in just outside of Bangor, Maine. And so our experience really got expedited. So again, though, even though Casey was still doing shows with me, he never, his goal was never as, I knew what I wanted to do. And, again, even growing up on a farm in Maine, I had this weird dichotomy where I was taught to be so humble, but I remember when I was little, I'd just sign my autograph over and over. I knew I was meant to be something more. And so anyway, through Tony, we did a ton of shows over from 18, 19 years old, all the way up and through 20, 21, 22. And long story short is through those shows, I started to get some exposure around the New England area. And when the WWE would come to town, they want extras for their shows. You're playing security. If they remember when Eminem was around, they wanted the fake paparazzi to do their entrance. So I'd done a few of those Monday Night Raws in Boston, and then usually SmackDown was taped in Albany, New York, where I was playing The Undertaker's Druids, for instance, okay? Yeah. So the story to the Tough Enough is I get a call, and they go, hey, this is a casting agent. We're filming a new version of Tough Enough. You're on the WWE's radar. We'd like to talk to you. I hung up on them. I thought I was being pranked by one of my buddies. And 2 or 3 weeks later, I see the press release on WWE.com, because I'd always check all at the time, JR still had his blog on WWE.com, and I saw WWE. Go ahead, sorry.
Was it the Ross Report?
Yeah. So it was WWE filming a new season of Tough Enough. Shed Media, known for their casting for Big Brother, blah, blah, blah. And I'm I remember that the guy said Shed Media. So I called them back. And I'm I'm so sorry, explain what happened. And they go, we like you. They had been looking at my Facebook. So that's what they like. You see this guy? Hold on. So they go, send him a tape of, a little bit about yourself. Well, I did my real self. I'm I grew up on a farm in the country. I'm really grateful. I'm a hard worker and blah, blah, blah. So they call back and they go, we got your tape. You see this picture of you on your Facebook where you're around a bonfire. You got this, sexy blonde on your shoulders giving the devil horns. Can you send a different tape being that guy? And I go, well, that's... So I go, well, what do you they go, tell us everything that annoys you. Send in a tape where you tell us all your pet peeves. And kind of do it if you were angry at the person, right? You're whoever you're talking to, addressing. So I remember specifically on the tape, I was hey, if you're at a buffet and you're nickel and diming over the amount you're taking, it's a buffet. If you took too much, you don't have to eat it all. If you didn't take enough, you can go back for seconds. And so I did it like that, and I'm I don't give a F if you think I'm cool or not. I go, I know who I am and who I want to be, so I don't care if you think I'm. So I did that tape, and they go, yep, that's the guy we want. So anyway, that's how I made it onto the casting finals, where they have 28 people and they want to narrow it down to 14. So
you had how many years of wrestling under your belt?
At that point, I had been wrestling for 5 years, I think. I was 26, and I had been serious about it, like doing shows in front of people from 21 to 26.
What season was it, and what year was this?
It was the 2011, and I think they call it season 5.
Right.
So it was 2011. It's on Peacock right now. And here was the thing. I told Tony, I go, here's my dilemma. I don't want people to know like who I really am, because it was always easier for me to play a heel, to play the bad guy, because of the way I looked. People expected me to be like a cocky, arrogant, pretty boy. They didn't know that I grew up in Maine on a farm, and I was like, he goes, the safest place to be is in front of a camera, because you can always tell people in the end, or people behind the scenes, that you're working. In other words, that you're playing a character. The audience doesn't need to know that. So most of the time on the show, I decided to play basically my wrestling character. When we were in training, I was always super respectful of the trainers. But during the social part of the show, I was 100% playing my wrestling character, where I was just like a prick to everybody. Because I didn't want the audience, if I won, I was already thinking, if I win this, which I didn't go in thinking I went in thinking I'm going to win this. I don't go into anything thinking I'm going to lose. And I was like, if I win, I want to be like turnkey ready, where they're like already have a built-in character from the show.
I just cut you off right there for 1 second.
Sure.
Sam and I were watching, just recapping the show. And at the end, when they gave the results and who the winner was, even before that, the crowd was for you. You were getting reaction when you were cutting these promos. The crowd was on your side already. They already invested in you.
Whether they liked you or not.
Right.
The reaction that
there was an awesome heel response. Yes.
And even your reaction, again, so they can check this out on Peacock.
Right, where I went.
This is at the finale, the last episode. You have a moment with Stone Cold Steve Austin, arguably one of the biggest stars, if not bigger, the biggest star, and the most epic, prolific promoter of all time, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, both in the same ring with you,
sharing the ring with them,
and you're getting to have interaction with them. This is epic shit. I know that this is going through your head.
How did that
epic, and it's got to be crazy, real quick. But I want to note that there was this point where Vince McMahon pulls up to Andy, gives him the mic, and Andy says something like, "I guarantee," and right away Vince McMahon pulled that mic away from him.
Right.
So he got nothing. He cut him off so bad. Then he pulls up next to you and puts the mic in your face, and you fucking shine. That was epic. You were ready. You were ready.
Yeah.
And you delivered your shit. It was crisp, and right away you heard the boos in the background. They didn't want you to win, but they had more reaction.
Right.
You did
100%.
And it was wonderful. So you were absolutely turnkey ready. If you were going to show up on Raw the next week, you would automatically be
right.
Yes, especially if they said you were the winner, and then the crowd just went boo.
Right. Exactly. It was. And in that moment, so like you said, Sam, I even did a callback to the show during the primary filming. One time I had my collar a little up, and Stone Cold goes, "You got your collar popped up," and I didn't do it intentionally. That was during primary filming. So during that moment you're talking about, you can see it in the background. I flipped my collar up before I went out, just to lean into that role. And so I do remember Andy just said, "This guy, he's not a real athlete. I used to be a football player." Right. So I love how every wrestler, they got hurt playing football. You know what I mean? It's okay, so this is your second,
this is your backup plan.
Right down to The Rock, right? He's his dream was to play. He just said it at the Super Bowl. His dream was to play in the NFL. So I'm so I had a pact with myself. I'm I'm not going to degrade him. I'm going to talk about what I did good, even though I'm the heel, because the best heels, there's always a kernel of truth. So that's when I said it's not show friends, it's show business. And every day I showed up, proving why I'm a superstar.
You got heat.
Right. It was unbelievable. And so, like you said, that was my plan all along, to turnkey ready to be like, because that was the difference with all the other Tough Enough winners, right? They had to go back to developmental. I was like, I'll be the first one. I've already been trained. I've got a character. They could throw me on right away. And there was 2 really great compliments I did get backstage after, again, getting told that I lost. Number 1, the Brooklyn Brawler was back there, and he said, and again, I know I didn't end up taking this path, and I don't regret it. I love my life. I've been euphorically happy every day for the past 10 years. But he goes, you're going to be a monster heel in this business one day, because he heard that reaction. And then Stone Cold said, and I don't know how much of a compliment or not this is, depending on who you ask, but he goes, you remind me of a young Shawn Michaels in your attitude. And he goes, Luke Robinson isn't going to be a guy who needs to jump off the top rope. He goes, you remind me of a young Shawn Michaels, and that's going to be what gets you over in this business. And again, I know I didn't end up taking that road, and I don't take those compliments lightly, and I know it kind of sounds like I'm putting myself over, and I am, but those were pretty awesome compliments, coming again from a kid from a farmhouse in Maine who, like you said, got to share a ring with Stone Cold and Vince McMahon. So.
Well, I think if you haven't watched the Tough Enough, you should go back and watch it. But I think there's a general consensus that there was a big mistake, and I think they took the big guy because they thought that's what was going to be good, instead of taking somebody who already had a little bit of polish on him.
Yeah, and I'll get into this real quick, because this is I've talked about this before, but it's just conjecture. I don't know for sure, but I don't mind talking about it. Leading up to Tough Enough, I've worked for a couple different companies that do you do private filming, and it's marketed towards a gay audience. So like they film what's called custom matches. So it's like if someone wants to see lots of gut punching from guys with abs, okay? And these companies have different levels of videos where some are full-on pornography and some aren't. And so the things that I had done, I'm fully clothed. I could show it to my grandma without, whatever. I had my own limits. But you make way more money than you ever would independent wrestling. So basically...
Flabby abs?
What's that?
I said, do they take flabby abs? I'll do
it. So anyway, the joke is, I remember I went to a... training weekend at Ohio Valley Wrestling, and one of the trainers goes, you better hope you have a real job to support your wrestling habit, right? And so anyway, this supported my independent wrestling habit. And again, I always knew my personal boundaries, and knowing that I wanted to make it big. And so I was never worried about these. I put them on my background check to the USA Network before I was on the show. So it turns out a week before the finale, I get a call from the executive producer. They had never combed over my background check. They go, what's this stuff on, these websites? And I go, it's on my background check, the dates I worked, the website, everything, before you guys casted me for the show. So that was a week before the finale.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Literally 1 week before that finale. So afterwards, I was at the hotel bar with Stone Cold, and he said, we had all had a few drinks at this point, and he said, yeah, what? He was drinking vodka. He was drinking vodka sodas at the time. I remember, just because he was trying to, trying to keep a little bit on the leaner side. So anyway, he goes, and all this, other stuff you've been doing, you don't need to do that no more. And I'm like, well, I know I was doing it because you're not making any money independent wrestling. So the fact that he brought it up, that was the night of the finale. That was in the hotel bar after he told me I wasn't the winner.
Well, you think the real decision maker right there?
I am fairly confident. The only other evidence I have is JD. Is it JD Maverick? Shoot, he was another guy I trained with in OVW, and he was at FCW at the time. This is before they'd made it NXT, and he said that Johnny Ace was down there, and he called me. This is from his own words. I didn't hear it from Johnny Ace. This guy called me and said, after the week after, they had a meeting, with all the talent and said, we don't need any of that homo shit like the guy from Tough Enough. Oh. I swear to God. And what are you going to do? You file a lawsuit, you're probably going to get bled dry before it ever goes to whatever.
You can get blackballed from what you love to do.
Yep. And like I said, my life has been euphorically happy, but it was that moment that I was like, I'm good. I don't want to play the politic game. I don't want to be anything other than my authentic self. And it was just before, it was probably like 2 or 3 years before it became like en vogue for companies to be like, we're gay friendly. You know what I mean? Because like 3 or 4 years later, they, you know, now it's like overboard to be like, look, we have a female Royal Rumble. And you know, that's just to check off the box. Right. Right. So anyway, that's my theory. I'm crazy. I'm over it.
Winning.
I know.
You were fucking perfect. You were
had
great.
The promos down. I mean, that was fun to watch. Just going back and watching that was a lot of fun.
Listen,
thank you.
From personally being blessed enough or had the opportunity to be in the ring with Luke, we've had a lot of great matches. He is a natural. He is just what you need. He was the package for WWE, and they definitely made a mistake. But I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of you for sticking to your guns.
Thank you.
Is that going back thinking about your life? Have you ever had like a full-time job?
When I was in high school, no, never a full-time job. No, they were all part-time. Now that I think about it, so
isn't that crazy? Incredible. Think about it. You're 37.
Well, my training now has been my full-time job for 10 years.
But what I'm saying is you've never really had like a boss. You didn't have to check you 9 to 5. You know, you've always done your thing.
You nailed it, dude.
That's like incredible. You are literally living the dream. I just want, he lives with, I got
work at 6 a.m. tomorrow, buddy.
Does your pop live with you? Do you guys still live together?
No, my dad moved out like 6 years ago. He retired, and my brother lives here half the time. He lives in Canada the other half of the year. So you bring up a great point, and I kind of want to like just touch on that for a second. When I say I've been euphorically happy, I have autonomy is my highest value. The ability to do what I want, be who I want, when I want, without having to like answer to anybody specifically. And of course I do have responsibilities with my clients. But that's the reason why I've been so happy. I've lived on my terms. Like you said, you really just put it in perspective for me. Cause like I said, my job now has been in other words, my full-time income. It pays my bills and I have a nice little retirement fund going. But every day I genuinely wake up like so happy and excited to start my day. And I know that's a very rare thing.
It's
for
amazing.
A lot of people.
You don't look forward to vacations. You're not looking forward to Friday.
Exactly.
So looking forward to doing your thing.
You nailed. I won't take a vacation because I'm like, my life's a vacation, and I have this thing I call gratitude rage, and my gratitude rage is where like it's things that seem innocuous that people say that I'm like, I have to explore why I get angry about it. But people will go, oh, I can't wait. Take me back to Mexico. And I'm like, I live in Maine. It gets it was -5, -10 at some points this year. And like, even on those days, I wake up so happy because number one, like you said, I like get to do exactly what I want every day. 2, the temperature doesn't matter in today's world, right? When you go like, it's cold outside. Well, it's not cold in your house, motherfucker. Pardon my language, but I'm like, you know, when people complain about
I was telling Mike about you and your dad chopping wood to the house.
I love it though. I love that's great.
Thank you.
Old school stuff. Sorry for interjecting, but go ahead.
No, so I was just thinking, I'm like, you could live through the coldest of winters living in New England without clothes, and it wouldn't be life or death. It'd just be like a little bit inconvenient while you run out to your automatically started car, right?
Right.
So I use that. That's why I say obsessively grateful how I started the podcast, where I'm like, that's why every day I'm so happy because I'm like, we live in the most miraculous time ever. And to kind of sum it up, there's a Dracula show on Netflix, and you know, like in the kind of the lore of Dracula, they'll hibernate for 300 or 400 years. So this guy he's been hibernating since the 1600s. He awakes in the 2000s and he breaks into a trailer park. He's in this trailer park lady's trailer. She thinks she's dirt poor. He's looking around going, wow, I've been with kings and queens and pharaohs, and if they were in this room, they'd never leave it. And he says, I didn't know the future. He goes, I knew the future would bring wonders. I didn't know it would make them commonplace. And I'm just like, wow, that's
humble.
You know,
awesome.
It's everything.
I think you're an epic dude, man.
Thank you.
Your whole life is like, it's a wild creep. I've never met anybody like you. He's one of a kind. No bullshit.
First time hearing from you, meeting you, talking with you, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I would say your character has definitely been the misconception that's who you are. And they don't know that all the nice babyface shit that you do without looking for the babyface reaction. Right? You do stuff because you like people, you love people, and you want to help people. And that's the Luke I know. And I love your parents. Your mom has always been wonderful. I know you come from an awesome home. You know, your brother was always great to me. His dog, or the dogs, you know, it's wrestling. You know, you don't have many friends, right? And you meet people, and everyone's always trying to get over on one another just so they can get to the next rank or get where they think they need to be going. And I would say I could easily say that Luke is one of my closest friends from wrestling and one of my favorite opponents to be in the ring with. So I'm super proud to know you, to call you my friend, and I'm super proud of what you've done. And I think you're an awesome example of what a trainer should be, what a human being should be. And
thanks for
I think your trainer, your clients are super lucky to have you.
Thank you so much for all of that. And the feeling is quite mutual. And again, that's one of the things I love hearing most of my clients. They're like, you know, the ones who know about my background with wrestling, they're like, we always wanted to support you, but we're really lucky that we have you. And again, that makes it all worth it. And we've had super lucky lives, you and I, Sam. We've got to do things most people have never done. And I think that's why we both love helping people, is because we want others to be as happy as we've got to feel and do feel. So the feeling is mutual. I love you, my brother.
Love you too, man. All right, before we go, we had one question we were going to ask you, and we didn't ask. At the end, when they announced Andy, Stone Cold gave you a hug. What did Stone Cold say to you
in the ring?
In the ring.
Shoot.
It wasn't that significant, apparently.
Yeah. Damn, because I feel like I used to remember this.
He just came in, he hugged you on the camera, and
you definitely... Shoot, all I do know, because I thought you threw me off guard. I thought you were going to ask, did we know that someone was going to get a stunner? Which the answer was yes. He's at the backstage. At the very least, let me answer with a little fun tidbit. Backstage, he goes, whoever announces the winner is going to get a stunner, but we didn't know who, and we didn't know any of the questions they were going to ask us. So, shoot. I'll have to watch it and see if I remember. And again, it could be that I loved and valued every moment of that experience, but it could just be that I've moved on so completely. I told myself after 10 years, I was going to ask him about the, hey, was it really, did they tell you, about those videos? Like, obviously he knew about them, but I've wanted to ask, is that why? And I think this year is the 11th anniversary of the show, and I'm just so happy, and I decided not to. I'm still curious, but anyway, I can't remember.
Oh, man.
Over it. I know. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
All-time favorite WrestleMania match. I want to do with this.
Okay, so all-time favorite WrestleMania match. I almost have to go... I do love me the Bret Owen from WrestleMania 10.
Yeah, opened up the show.
And that was amazing. And then, can you not love the finish of Undertaker Shawn Michaels 1, where he catches him from the moonsault into the tombstone? I think is that 25?
Yeah, WrestleMania 25.
I think I got it. That's amazing. To nail that finish, because everything goes so right, and then you've got to nail that finish, right? Awesome. And if you draw, so let's go with that. Michaels Undertaker 1.
Awesome. I love it. Before we go, tell people where they can find you. Social media.
Yeah.
Workouts. Are you taking new clients?
Your gym.
Yep. So Facebook, it's facebook.com/Wolfpack Worldwide. And I picked Wolfpack Worldwide just because the concept is you can pick up you can check out our social media and replicate it anywhere. I don't have the market cornered on cinder blocks. So, and then Instagram is @WolfpackWild. And I post lots of stories every day just to give people ideas of what they can do with just bands or cinder blocks or regular everyday items. And then with clients, I know COVID threw tons of people for a loop, but one of the greatest things that came out of it for me is, number one, I started doing tons of themed classes. I just felt like my client, I never had to stop running because we're outdoors and I was easily able to keep people distance and all that. But I am accepting new clients. I don't have any membership. I don't do memberships or commitments. You just pay for the classes you come to. And the reason for that is I want people to be able to do what makes them happy. If they come to a class, they don't dig it, then they never have to see me again. If it's their thing and their people, then they come back. So anyway, themed classes we did with COVID. It used to be I'd save like one per quarter. Now almost every week I do a themed class, whether it's St. Patrick's Day. This week is World Water Day, is March 22nd. That's today, right? So on Thursday we're doing a World Water Day themed class. We donate some of the money of class to the theme, and everybody dresses in blue, for instance. So anyway, next week will be WrestleMania themed week. People dress up as whatever wrestler they want to, and the class has some exercises that are a little bit geared towards the professional wrestling world. Anyway, what's that?
Who are you going to be?
I think I got to do Razor this year, right? I got to honor Razor. Yeah.
Nice.
So last year I did Macho Man. But anyway, the point is, it's almost like fitness meets playing with your friends meets drama class. And don't get me wrong, the workouts are awesome. But the biggest thing I want people to know about the workouts, if you are in the Central Maine area, is that you will be well taken care of regardless of what age you are, ability level, injuries. That's the beauty of Wolfpack, is everybody gets the workout they want with all the awesome benefits of the camaraderie of the group. And that's, to me, what I specialize in, being able to figure out where someone's at, how to make them feel safe and comfortable with the workout, and then slowly build them up from there. Because again, it's not like how much can I kick your ass. I don't measure the workout in reps done and weight completed. To me, I measure it in how much fun you had, how much happiness you gained, friendship you gained, how much more laughter you gained, time in nature. All the things that people normally don't consider how to measure a workout in, to me, are the most important things, because that's what keeps people coming back. And I don't want them to do this as a little short-term 6-week fix, quote unquote. I want them to be doing this for life and be able to keep doing the things they love for the rest of their life.
Phenomenal. That was awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we'd like to thank our guest, health coach and former professional wrestler, Luke Robinson. Thank you so much for being on the show, brother.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Wrestling with Weight podcast. I want to give a special thanks to our guest today, Luke Robinson. Thank you so much. It was awesome speaking with him.
Thank you, bro.
Sam, what else?
I want you to follow, subscribe, let your friends know about what we're doing on this podcast. We'd love for you to be part of the conversation. Follow us, communicate, share. You can do all that on Instagram. You can do all that on Facebook. And those pages are nice and simple. The Wrestling with Weight podcast. You can follow us on YouTube. Where else can you find us, Michael?
Apple Podcasts. Do we say Apple Podcasts?
Spotify.
And that's it right now, but more to come.
That's pretty damn good. We're pretty spread out.
That's pretty awesome, man.
Word. Thanks, guys.
Peace.